Kaiana was the most formidable and internationally experienced chief in Hawaiian history, and his intimate knowledge of Western warfare tactics made him one of the most dangerous generals in the Hawaiian Islands Unification Wars. Kaiana's life was marked by tactical brilliance, international voyages, and an unwavering loyalty to his own vision of Hawaiian independence. Originally rising to prominence through his unprecedented voyages to China and the American Northwest coast, Kaiana's extraordinary experiences would catch the attention of Kamehameha I, who recognized the strategic value of having such a well-traveled advisor in his service. And Kaiana would rise from being a regional Hawaiian chief to becoming one of Kamehameha's most trusted commanders. However, Kaiana's time serving Kamehameha would ultimately be marked by both glory and betrayal, as his fate became entwined with his own defection to the enemy during the conquest of Oahu. But how did this internationally renowned chief meet his end during the pivotal Battle of Nuʻuanu? And what do contemporary Hawaiian sources reveal about his dramatic final moments? To answer these questions, we must explore the historical records and traditional accounts that document Kaiana's rise, his fateful decision to switch allegiances, and the tragic circumstances of his death on the battlefield. But before we begin, don't forget, if you want to find out more about the deaths and lives of some of history's greatest figures, then subscribe to my channel, Historical Exit. The precise details of Kaiana's early life are unfortunately not very well documented, as the early years of many Hawaiian chiefs from this era of history are not well recorded or attested to in the historical record. But most historians agreeing that he was born around the year 1755, and he was born to the family of a high-ranking alii from the island of Hawaii. By the 1780s, the Pacific had become a crossroads of international commerce, with American and European traders increasingly frequenting Hawaiian waters in search of sandalwood and provisions for the lucrative China trade. It was during this period of expanding global connections that Kaiana would embark on his extraordinary journey abroad, departing Hawaii in 1787 aboard American trading vessels bound for the northwest coast and then eventually China itself. According to contemporary accounts, Kaiana's international voyage would last over a year, during which he became the first Hawaiian chief who had traveled abroad. Upon his return to Hawaii in December 1788, Kaiana's reputation had been transformed by his overseas experiences. Foreign observers noted that his very name was revered by all ranks and conditions of the people of Canton, highlighting the extraordinary celebrity status he had achieved due to his travels. This international renown, combined with his newfound knowledge of Western technology and customs, would immediately make him invaluable to the ambitious Hawaiian chiefs seeking to modernize their military capabilities and strategies. Recognizing the strategic advantage, Kamehameha I moved quickly to secure Kaiana's allegiance, granting him a large property on the island and incorporating him into his inner circle of military advisors and commanders. The next several years of Kaiana's life would be marked by his proactive participation in Kamehameha's campaigns to unite the Hawaiian Islands under his rule. Contemporary sources indicate that Kaiana served primarily as a military strategist and commander, utilizing his knowledge of Western firearms and tactics to modernize Kamehameha's forces. His expertise proved invaluable during conflicts with rival chiefs, and his reputation served as a powerful symbol of Kamehameha's growing sophistication and global connections. However, though, by 1795, tensions had begun to emerge between Kamehameha and Kaiana, with them disagreeing on strategic military decisions and the distribution of authority within the expanding kingdom. The breaking point in their relationship would come during preparations for the invasion of Oahu in early 1795, when Kaiana discovered he had been excluded from Kamehameha's war council during the crucial planning phase. This slight proved to be a fatal miscalculation by Kamehameha, as contemporary sources indicate that Kaiana felt that his life was in danger and he decided to switch allegiances to Kalaniʻukiupele, the ruler of Oahu. The personal nature of this betrayal is brilliantly captured in traditional accounts, which record that when Kaiana told his wife, Kekupui, of his intention, she sadly wished him well but told him her choice was to remain with her chief Kamehameha, and thus they departed with a farewell embrace and kiss. The fateful confrontation between Kaiana and Kamehameha would occur during the Battle of Nuuanu in May 1795, as Kamehameha's massive invasion force of 12,000 warriors and 1,200 war canoes overwhelmed the defending Oahu forces, which were much smaller in number. And according to Hawaiian historian Samuel Kamakau, whose accounts preserve traditional memories of the battle, Kaiana fought with remarkable courage despite being mortally wounded, and he states that Kaiana was struck 3 times in the breast with bullets. However, he was not killed immediately. He was using his gun with a great desire to approach close to his enemy. The tragic irony of his final moments is further emphasized by Kamakau's account, which states that among the sharpshooters opposing him was Kakapui, who had learned her skill in shooting from her husband in times past, and yet here she was employing the knowledge which she had gained from him against her husband. However, multiple sources also point to artillery as the decisive factor in Kaiana's death. Contemporary accounts consistently identify John Young, Kamehameha's British military advisor, as the man who delivered the fatal blow. As one source records, John Young would be instrumental in the Battle of Nuuanu, as the one who fired the cannon shot that killed Kaiana and wounded the Oahu leaders as well. Another account simply states that one well-directed shot from John Young's cannon brought death to the restless and ambitious Kaiana. Whether killed by musket fire or cannon shot, all sources agree that his death marked the decisive turning point of the battle, with one historian noting that Kaiana's death was the single shot that shattered the courage of the Oahu ranks. The aftermath of Kaiana's death saw the complete collapse of Oahu's resistance, with Kalanikupele's forces routed and driven to the precipitous mountain edge of Nuuanu, where some hundreds were hurled over the cliffs, an event that is referred to as the leaping of the mullets today. Archaeological evidence discovered during construction work in the area in 1898 lends credibility to these accounts, as workers found 800 human skulls at the bottom of these cliffs, believed to be the remains of the warriors who fell to their deaths in 1795. So although the exact details of how Kaiana died, whether from musket wounds or cannon fire, may never be definitively resolved, we do know that his death marked the end of an era in Hawaiian history, and his life represents the dramatic transformation of Hawaii from an isolated Pacific archipelago to an integral part of the emerging global economy. And his tragic end symbolizes the personal cost of this historical transition that many Hawaiians and their families had to endure during this time period. However, Kaiana will be forever remembered as one of the most internationally experienced Hawaiian generals of his generation, and one of the few chiefs who dared to challenge Kamehameha's authority. Kaiana's story serves as a powerful reminder of how individual ambitions and loyalties shaped the course of Hawaiian unification and its history in general. So I hope you found this analysis of Kaiana's life and death to be interesting, as this story represents a fascinating intersection of Hawaiian politics, international warfare, and personal tragedy that helped define the island's path towards political unification under Kamehameha I. So let me know in the comments down below if you enjoyed this video, and as always, if you want to find out more about the deaths of some of history's greatest figures, then subscribe to my channel, Historical Exit, and thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.